let's take a look at a single gene ash fault, and let's look at some of their traits as a morph and see if we can identify a few things or tell you how I look to identify ash faults. So obviously we've got shed testing, but you know, you may not want to shed test an animal. You may want to just have a look and see for potential markers for yourself, which is fine. This is what these videos are all about. So let's look at an ash fault. So this is ash fault. So it's not a yellow belly, it's not a pos ash fault, it is a definite ash fault. How do I know? Well, simply the parents were ash fault, so it can't be anything other. Let's jump into it. First of all, you'll see with an ash fault, it does give a slightly amplified a look compared to a normal. It's got a bit more contrast to it. The blacks are a bit more black. But the difference between an ash fault and a yellow belly is the yellow belly's alien heads will tend to be pushed apart more. So if you see this gap between this one here, you tend to have with a yellow belly, that gap would be bigger. Yeah, and as you can see there, some of them are almost touching. So with the ash fault, the pattern is a bit more consistent and closer together. With the yellow belly, it tends to separate it. Now, a lot of people on yellow bellies look for flaming. Now, ash faults sometimes will have flaming, but sometimes they won't. And again, it depends on, you know, if there's any hets involved and also how prominent the flaming is. So majority of the flaming on an ash fault is repressed. It's not there. And if you do get a little bit, it's not as much as what it would be on a yellow belly. So there's two key factors. The pattern being close and consistent, and also, like I said, the flaming is a bit more reduced. Now with ash faults, you will get a head stamp. I tend to find it's more of it's not like a spot, it's a weird shape. You tend to get this weird shape. Again, the contrast on the animal is a lot more darker, so that's something else to consider as well. We haven't even got to the belly yet. Let's have a look at the belly. So if we flip it over, you can see it's got somewhat of a yellow belly-esque type going on. And this is again another indication to separate a normal from an ash fault, is you've got that sort of speckled sort of jaggedness, and it's not, if you look, it's not very clean. You know, you've got this sort of granity sort of type situation going on, and the further you down the belly, you can see it's getting very busier. Okay, so again, if we take it from the sides, very yellow belly-esque, but again, we've got that ability to see that the animal is definitely not a normal, and the animal is a particular morph. Again, here it would just give you a great indication that it's an ash fault. So that's a single gene ash fault. This is Posset Clown, but again, fantastic animal, fantastic gene. Let's have a look at a few more when we start adding a few bits and pieces on top. So those who have made yellow belly fire combos, you know they pop. If you put yellow belly fire in OD, it just makes OD pop. However, we get a similar sort of reaction when we add ash faults. This is an ash fault fire. Very dark. Again, the ash fault, keeping it nice and dark. The pattern being very consistent, as you can see, trying not to separate. Now on this one, we do have more flamage, but that is because of the fire. The fire is actually bringing out the more flamage with the ash fault. If you put yellow belly instead of ash fault, this would have loads of real high intense oranges and reds coming up, and again you'd have tons of blushing down the dorsal stripe. So the ash fault and fire together is something that it will complement each other, as you can see. But again, we've got that sort of brightness coming from the fire. This animal is getting lighter, but the actual contrast is stained darker. So again, if we look at the belly, we've got an almost yellow belly-esque look to it, but fire is renowned for making white bellies or cleaning up the bellies. So you've got a bit of opposite reaction. You've got the asphalt trying to crazy the belly up, and then you've got the fire trying to keep it clean. So that there is a fire ash fault. Let's look at another combo using asphalt. So what we have here is a cypress. Okay, cypress, again, you can see very colourful, very bright. If you get a good example of a cypress, you can really see blushing down the neck from the head. You also get some flamage coming up from the belly or in between the alien heads. But again, you've got these different colours. You've got this yellow sort of type, striping or sort of marks down its back on the dorsal. And then again, you've got this sort of these alien heads, which sort of are, as you can see, big keyholes. So what happens when we add asphalt? Let's take a look. So when we add asphalt, this is a Cypress Ash Fault, and you can certainly see the asphalt is definitely darken the animal. Again, asphalt will darken down the animal. Sometimes when they hatch, they don't look the best, but as they grow, they will continue to actually, I think they get better. Again, if you look, the cypress gives this pattern, and you can see the cypress is trying to do it there, but the asphalt is definitely changing the colour, keeping it nice and dark. So we'll just put this one down here for now, and let's have a look at this one in a bit more detail. So cypress is one of those genes, along with asphalt. You know, if you put asphalt in a gene, it can be very difficult. If you put asphalt in a combo, it can be very difficult to see. But it's all about looking for the telltale signs. So again, remember I said asphalt tends to have a head stamp. This animal doesn't have it because at the head, again, remember I said that the asphalts have a head stamp. The cypress is fighting that head stamp, but you can see the cypress is having this effect by bringing the neck, the blushing into the neck from the head. Again, if we look at the cypress here, you can see we've got this sort of blushing coming down, and it's a lot lighter than this one. Again, the pattern itself is very similar to a cypress, but you're getting a lot more variation, and you're getting a few more speckles in there that I've noticed in this particular combo. So overall, if we look at this animal, Cypress Ash Fault versus a cypress, the cypress definitely looks better, but this is the powerful animal because it's got that ash fault. So again, looking at combos like this when they're side by side, it really does help us understand what's what. The other thing I've noticed with the ash faults, the Cypress Ash Fault versus just a normal cypress, is you can see the cypress eye band is quite thick. The asphalt cypress, the asphalt tends to shorten the eye band. So again, you've got that little bit of, you know, more telltale signs, if you like, which will help you try and determine whether or not you've got Cypress Ash Fault versus just a normal cypress. Let's have a look at a few more. So let's take it up a notch. Let's have a look at this. This, as you can see, is a pastel clown, but not only is it a pastel clown, it's also an asphalt pastel clown. Now, how do I know that? Again, the parents were carrying asphalt, all shed tested thanks to Pro Herper over in Europe, all shed tested, all correct. If you remember right, I did a video a few years back where I actually picked out the 3 animals. I held back 2 females and 1 male. The male was a pastel asphalt het clown, and the 2 females I held back were actually asphalt het clowns. Now, in this clutch, I did hit a super asphalt, but unfortunately didn't make it out the egg. So that's how I know it's a pastel asphalt. If we just look at this, and we can see, I really like this combo. The Ash Fault has really made the pastel contrast pop. So the Ash Fault is keeping all the blacks blacker. It's making the yellows more yellow. And again, if you look, the Ash Fault is keeping the alien heads closer together. Now, I haven't got a yellow belly pastel clown to show you, but normally on a yellow belly pastel clown, the flaming's a bit more, the blushing's separated a bit more. Sorry, the alien heads are separated a bit more, but you can certainly see we've got some flamage coming up from the belly. Now, typically on a yellow belly, this flaming is more checkered looking. So typically on a yellow belly clown, that bit there, the flaming is more checkered. It's almost granite looking. And again, if we turn it over, it has a very similar yellow belly-esque type belly. Not as much as a yellow belly clown, but it is somewhat there. So Ash Fault and pastel definitely work together. This is a pastel Ash Fault clown. Like I said, it really does keep the contrasts very, very bright in my opinion. And this female there is a fantastic animal. So just for a bit of reference, guys, here is a G-Nex yellow belly clown. G-Nex is one of those very underrated genes, but I'm just going to show you some traits of a yellow belly clown versus the one I've just showed you. So again, if you remember that your yellow belly, you'll tend to get a lot more granite looking. And again, the belly's a lot more intense. Yellow belly will also, instead of trying to keep the alien heads separate, yellow belly will try and join them up. Okay, you'll get a large amount of flaming, a large amount of blushing down the back, and you can clearly see the yellow belly is heavy in this. Now G-Nex will obviously amplify the yellow belly. This one's currently sold, which I absolutely love. This is het pied as well. But you can certainly see that the yellow belly is really whacking out the pattern, completely different to the Ash Fault. So this one is one of my holdbacks, just simply because it's one of the best Ash Fault clowns I've ever seen. And again, I'm going to go over some stuff because it is very much so yellow belly-esque is its nuts. So let's start at the beginning. Let's look at the contrast. The contrast on this animal is very dark down the tail. Now we have got some blushing from the back like you would get on a yellow belly clown, but if you look, it's not as strong. Yeah, it's not as crazy as a yellow belly, but it's very yellow belly-esque. And I keep saying that because Ash Fault is obviously a part of the yellow belly complex, but you can see it's trying to be a yellow belly. Again, look at the alien heads. The alien heads are very close together. Now on this particular clown, it is trying to blend them together, as you can see. But again, the alien heads are very close. You've got some flamage coming up from the belly, but it's nowhere near as extreme as the other one I've just showed you. We do have a bit of an head stamp, and again, the contrast of the overall contrast of the animal is a bit more. Again, turning it over, you can see again it very yellow belly type belly, but not as crazy as the G-Nex yellow belly I just showed you. These are all the things that I look for in an Ash Fault, and when I'm working with Ash Fault, those are the things that I look for. Now, are you going to be 100% right at the time? No, you're probably not going to be 100% right every time you pick out your Ash Faults, but I will say this. The more you hatch them, the more you work with this gene, the more you will see what it does. The more you see it reacts with various different genes. And that for me is what's important. Looking, paying attention and seeing exactly how a gene works, how it works in other recessives or in other combos, and then telltailing it and picking your animals and holding them back. Again, this came from one of those females that I produced along. So like I said, I held back a Pastel Ash Fault het clown and 2 female Ash Fault het clowns. This came from one of them. So fantastic pairing that I did. I'm really happy just to get that base down. We know exactly what it is, and we know which way we can take this in the future. I suppose the video wouldn't be complete without showing you guys a Freeway combo. This is a fire Freeway, and again, this is a yellow belly Ash Fault fire. And again, people say to me, Gav, how can you tell there's fire in it? Well, again, when you've hatched Freeways, you tend to see a difference. They are very dark. Fire is absolutely turning this into such a fantastic looking animal. And again, the fire's keeping all the yellows very bright. The Ash Fault and the yellow belly working together is keeping that dark contrast. For me, Ash Fault making Freeways, and the Ash Fault project for me is a fantastic gene. I just really love what it does. It's very reactive. You can work it. The super form looks amazing. And again, there is so much you can do. Again, if we look at the belly, the Freeway along with the fire is giving it a real clean belly. Really beautiful animal. So that's the Ash Fault. That's some of the key signs that you can look for. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video, guys. Hopefully it's helped. If you have any questions or you have any of your own experience with hatching Ash Faults and you see some markers that I haven't mentioned, please put them in the comment box below. But for now, I hope you're all well. Welcome to 2025. Take care, and I'll see you guys on the next one.